Everyone likes to think that the good boy of Puss in Boots' The Last Wish goes to Perito. I beg to differ, as I think the goodest of boys is in fact the wolf, aka Death. Many brush him off as a villain, but I believe that hindsight is where this character truly shines. I will argue that not only was Death not interested in taking Puss's life, he was watching over him to make sure he became a better person who appreciated the time he had left and the friends he had almost forgotten. So here's the thing about villains. They're evil. Either comically so or a bit more complex, but in the end we tend to see villains as bad. Death isn't evil. He's not good, but he's nature in its purest form. He takes his job so seriously, he makes it a point that Puss is the only exception he'll make in taking a life early due to his misuse of all his past lives. But I think this is all a show. Death is playing a part that he knows will force Puss into taking his life seriously. How do I know this? Let's roll back to when we first meet Death. I think it goes without saying that Death outclasses any mortal. He's fast, strong, untiring, and immortal. Puss was already dead before the fight even started.
お前はもう死んでいる。何?
So the question is, why didn't Death just kill him? Now we could take the easy route as him playing with his food, or why the hell are you thinking hard about this, it's a kid's movie, but this leaves a lot of things unexplained. As someone who likes to put meaning behind things where there most likely was none, it's time to get into my headcanon for this good boy. The first sign we have that Death isn't interested in taking Puss's life is when Puss accepts his life as a house cat. Given the context of the time, we assumed the wolf was just a highly skilled bounty hunter, but in hindsight that isn't the case. He can appear anywhere and at any time. He's a supernatural being. Death even confirms that he was watching Puss the entire time. And I like to take this as a subtle hint that Death is always following us, even when we can't see him. But I digress. During this time for Puss, Death doesn't come to claim his life because Death has never left him. He was still there, watching Puss to see what he would do and act accordingly, which we know would happen later as Puss is bragging, much in the way he had done so in the past when he lived like a legend. Only then does Death reveal himself as a grave reminder for Puss that he is no immortal legend. The next encounter is when Puss is almost hit by the unicorn horn, with the explosion dazing him. Once again, Death appears before him, and I personally take this as a near-death experience. Just like the time before, Death does nothing more than stand there menacingly.
He's just standing there, menacingly!
Even though we know he's fast, powerful, and after Puss's life. This is a constant thing that Death does whenever he meets Puss between his first and last fight. He acts as a reminder for Puss about his mortality, never trying to take his life, which is why I think there's a huge difference between his action and his words. Let's look at the next scene where Death formally introduces himself. Our good boy here shows off his vocabulary before confirming to Puss that he was tired of seeing him wasting his lives before chasing after him. This shot right here portrays the concept that no one can outrun Death. Because the fact is, even if Puss wished for more lives, what's to say that Death wouldn't just take those too? Now the epic fight between Puss and Death. Once again, I'm certain Death is putting on a show, and no scene shows that better than this shot right here. Rather than striking Puss with the tip of his sickle, he instead uses the blunt end, allowing for Puss to defend himself and win the battle. Though that's not where this truly ends. I think the most powerful scene for Death is where he says that Puss is ruining this for me because he can no longer continue acting like the bad guy and admits he was there to kill an arrogant little legend who believed he was immortal. And with a heavy sigh, we finally get our first glimpse as Death drops the charade and wants Puss to live his life well, but just like before, reminding him that eventually death comes for us all. Death. A misunderstood doggo in need of head pats. But hey, that's just a theory. Or, well, either way. Thanks for watching.